Everyone. I hope you guys are excited for this new week, and I hope that you guys have had a great weekend, good restful weekend. And I'm excited to be back with you. I hope you guys are doing well, staying encouraged, staying positive, and I want you to know that I'm praying for you, and I want you to keep working hard. I see your hard work, and I really do appreciate it, and I want to congratulate you guys on how well you guys have been doing. I know it's not easy. I know it's totally different, but you guys are doing a very good job with it. So keep it up, keep working hard, and we will get through this. All right? Please feel free to ask me any questions, pause, rewind. If it still doesn't make sense, then again, ask me questions, call me, message me, email me, and I will do my best to help you. And we will get through this. All right. So we're beginning on page 575. We are learning about the function rule. The last section we learned what a function was, and it was a function is um, a group of points, which is called a relation in which the x value does not repeat. But now we're going to solve functions. Now, this this graphic that you see at the very bottom of page 575 is going to be the solution, the formula, if you will. Notice we are given an input. We are going to be told what x equals. Now, when we're told what x equals, all we do is plug in that number wherever we see an x. So in this case, our rule that we were told, this will change depending on the problem. The x will change depending on the problem. So you just put the number into the rule and you're going to get out an answer. So in this case, we put a 5 in for the x, 5 plus 4, we get the answer of 9. Let me show you another example of what we do. Let's say that we are given the function rule of y equals 3x minus 1. Okay? We are told that the x coordinates are negative 3, 0, 4, and 16. Now we're supposed to find the ordered pairs. So we already know the x values right here. So what I do is, since I'm told ordered pairs, I go ahead and I make my parentheses because ordered pairs are just parentheses. Now, how many do I make? It depends on how many x values I have. So I know my first x is going to be negative 3, my second x is going to be 0, my next x is 4, and then my last one, ooh, almost dropped it, is 16. So now I'm trying to find these ordered pairs. And I know the x. So what is the y? Well, I'm told in our problem that y equals 3x minus 1. So I know the x. Now I'm just going to plug in each x into the equation. So to find this y, I'm going to write y equals 3. What's going on between 3 and x? Multiplication. So I'm going to put the first x in, the negative 3, where I have an x. So it's it's 3 times the negative 3 minus 1. 3 times the negative 3 is a negative 9. Negative 9 minus 1 is negative 10. So my y is negative 10. Next, I can cross that off since I used the negative 3. Now let's put the 0 in. For this y, I'm going to get 3 times 0 minus 1. 3 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 1 is negative 1. So my y for the 0 is negative 1. Next one, to find the y, I'm going to plug in the next x, the 4. So it's going to say y equals 3 times 4 minus 1. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 minus 1 is 11. So my y for the 4 is 11. The last x, 16, I'm going to plug it in. I get y equals 3 times my x, which is 16, minus 1. 3 times 16 is 48. 48 minus 1 is 47, so my coordinate is 16, 47. And here are my answers. All I did was plug in the x values that I had into my equation. Okay? Try that for skill check number 1. I'm going to give you time. Go ahead and pause. And the answers now. Number 1 says y equals x plus 5. Now, that's all we're told for number 1, but look at your directions. It says find the ordered pairs for each function rule if the x values are 0, -4, -9. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write my points. Now, how did I know it was 3? Because there are 3 x values here. I have the first x value of 0. X goes first, then we have the y. So the next x is -4. The last x is 9. Now I have to find the y values in order to find my ordered pairs. So how do I find the y? I plug in these 3 numbers where I see an x because these numbers are the x value. So for here, I'm going to plug in a 0 where I see an x. So 0 plus 5 is 5. Let me plug in a -4. -4 plus 5 is 1. Let's plug in the 9. 9 plus 5 is 14. Here are your answers for number 1. You should have the point 0.05, -4, 1, and 9, 14. Hopefully you got that. All we did was plug in the x values of 0, -4, and 9 in for the place of x, and we get our y's. Let's look at number 2. This one was number 1. Let's look at number 2. Number 2, we have y equals 2x. And we have the same x values. We have 0, -4, and 9. But we're going to get different y values because we have a different function rule. So let's see what we get. Let's plug in a 0. 2 times 0, multiplication going on. 2 times 0 is 0, so we get the point 0, 0. -4 times 2 is -8. 9 times 2 is 18. So we should get the point 0, 0, -4, -8, 9, 18. Number 3. Give me a second while I erase this. Number 3, we have the function rule of y equals 4x minus 4. We have the same x values of 0, -4, and 9. Now let's find the y's. Let's plug in a 0. Here we have multiplication, but then we'll have to subtract eventually. So let's plug in 0 where we see an x. So it's 4 times 0, which is 0. 0 minus 4 is -4. Let's plug in the -4. 4 times a -4 is a -16. -16 minus 4, remember to add the opposite. -16 plus a -4 is a -20. Let's plug in the 9. 9 times 4 is 36. 36 minus 4 is 32. So you should get the answers of 0, -4, -4, -20, 9, 32. Hopefully you got those correct. Look at the next example at the very bottom. It says, sometimes we are not told y equals an equation. Notice the difference between this and the other page. The other page we saw y equals x plus 4. I'm sorry, y equals x plus 4. But here it says f parentheses x equals x minus 5. Now this is the same exact thing. Instead of y, we have this weird notation. In fact, what this is pronounced as, we read it f of x. So the way you read this is f of x is equal to x minus 5. And you're going to do this the exact same way. Now, they won't tell you what the x is. They won't say x equals -3. What they're going to do is they're going to put -3 right here where you see x. So it would read f of, let me write it here, f of -3 is equal to x minus 5. You're going to work this the exact same way because what this number tells you is put this wherever you see an x. So we would say f of negative 3 is equal to negative 3 minus 5. So f of negative 3 is equal to negative 3 minus 5 is adding the opposite. So negative 3 plus a negative 5 is a negative 8. And this would be our answer. Now, depending on if it wants order pairs or not, you would have to make this into an order pair. Here's your x, negative 3. Here's your y, negative 8. So the big thing to remember is f of x is really the same thing as y. Whenever we say f of x equals x plus 5, that's the same thing as y equals x plus 5. They're the same thing. The same thing. Now, this just tells you whatever number is in here is what you put in for your x. Let's look at example number 2. It says, which of the given order pairs satisfies the function rule, or is the only one that makes this correct? Well, let's plug in all of these numbers. What numbers would we begin? We would only have to plug in the x values because we're only going to be looking for the x. So let's plug in all of these x, that negative 2, 4, 1, and negative 4. Whenever the work is already done for you, so let's look. Whenever we plug in negative 2, we put negative 2 here. It reads f of x is equal to negative 2 minus 2. We put negative 2 in for x. Negative 2 minus 2. Negative 2 minus 2 is negative 4. Does that satisfy the pair? No, because we need, what was the order pair supposed to be? The order pair was supposed to be negative 2, 4. But when we plug it into this, we get a negative 4. So this does not satisfy the function rule. We don't get the y value that we want to. Let's plug in the x here and see if we get our 2. So whenever we plug in a 4, we get f of x is equal to 4 minus 2. 4 minus 2 shows us right here. 4 minus 2 is 2. Is that what we're supposed to get? Yes. So this one satisfies. This one is a yes. Let's try our next point of x equals 1. So we're going to plug in 1 wherever we see an x. 1 minus 2. Again, we're using this function rule. So 1 minus 2 is negative 1. Is that what we should get? Yes. So this one satisfies the function rule. Let's try the last one, negative 4. Let's plug in a negative 4 to the function rule. They do that down here. Negative 4 minus 2 is a negative 6. Does this satisfy? No, we needed a negative 2. We got a negative 6. So this does not satisfy the function rule. So the only two pairs that satisfy are these two, 4, 2, and 1, negative 1. So these two both satisfy the function rule. Now, you may have something that's the opposite. You may say, find the given values. If we're told what these three x's were, we were supposed to find the y's. This is going to be just exactly like we did right here, where we're told the x's, and then we were supposed to find the y's, and then put it into an order pair. Here, we are told the x's. These are the x values, because where we see x, we've put numbers, so that's what x equals. So we have our function rule, so we're going to take the first x, and we're going to plug in negative 1 wherever we see an x. So it's negative 2 times a negative 1 plus 5 is equal to, well, negative 2 times negative 1 is a positive 2. So 2 plus 5 equals 7. So our y is 7. Let's plug in a 0 to our function rule. We get negative 2 times 0 is 0. Negative 2 times 0 is 0. Plus 5, we get the y of 5. Let's plug in 3. Negative 2 times 3 is a negative 6. Negative 6 plus 5 is negative 1. My time is about up. do the skill check 2, and then the next video I will give you the answers to skill check 2.